So how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just got back from my taekwondo session, so I was a bit late. Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
Good, yeah. So how have you been since we last spoke?
Yeah. I've been good. It's been so last year we spoke, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been alright. Um,
Mm. So what do you think of all this, this stuff with Professor Dave Farina and Subboor? I've been watching the videos back and forth these last few months, and especially the
yeah,
last week or so, it's been like quite a soap opera, isn't it?
yeah. I've mainly been watching Dave's videos. I've watched Subboor's most recent ones, but I think there's seems to be a bit of a misunderstanding about what setting up a debate means.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I mean, from Dave's end, he wants it to be more official where the university's setting it up, like his debate with James Hall.
yeah,
Whereas with Subboor, he's getting the Islamic Society to do it,
yeah.
which obviously they're going to be more like biased to him because he's
Exactly.
Muslim.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
exactly. It's all been really, I'd say it's really dishonest on Subboor's part. I'm fairly sure that he never really had any intention of having a proper debate. Because when you think about it, Dave Farina offered Subboor an online debate for free,
yeah,
and any sensible person would have just gone for that option without all this drama about setting up online debates and setting up face-to-face debates and offering to fund his money to travel, which it's ludicrous when you could just have a debate in person online. You could have got it moderated, but it's obvious that Spohr never really wanted that. And all his bravado about how on in a face-to-face debate, you get to have he could grill him. Well, he could have done all that online as well. So
yeah,
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 it's ridiculous. And the other thing I remember thinking is saying I was going to pay for it. Well, you know, I'm sure it wasn't going to come from Support's pocket. It was going to come from a Ayera or some other Dawah thing, and it would have been
yeah,
people who. These are people who would have given their money to like charity, say, oh, here's money to support the Dawah. And people like Sabor would have probably used that. Um, So, unless he can show clear evidence that it's actually come from his pocket, then I think it's fairly sure that it's just general Dawa money.
yeah. Yeah. And I think when Subboor initially said that, he definitely thought Dave just wouldn't accept it. So
Yeah, yeah. It's like he didn't even have the decency to contact him. He just like
yeah.
he offered the debate like 5 times
Mhm.
on his video without actually reaching out to Dave. Just
Yeah,
It's a shit. It was just a lot of it was just posturing to his idiot fans who just didn't really because that's what he's scared about. That's what Sable's scared about more than anything is losing the credibility.
yeah,
And his credibility's taking a complete hammering now when it looks like that he didn't really set anything up. He's started this crowdfunding and I think he wanted 3,500 to get
yeah,
crowdfunding for the video of this debate. And I mean, like, what 3,500? That's like, you get like the BBC Natural History Unit, who are, they're normally filming killer whales in the Antarctic or something. It's going to pay them to come over to film this debate.
yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what funding he needs
Mm,
for the debate.
yeah.
'Cause I mean, it's just one guy doing the recording.
Mm.
He also
I,
said something about editing, but like what?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I
you
mean,
don't really need that much editing.
you don't, because you've got, if he says he could just say to some of his followers and say, as a way of helping the Dawa, why don't you please come along and film this for free?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And this editing software, it's so simple to use. I use editing software for my videos, and I've got no special training in doing any of that. It's not not a professional videographer in any way, and I make videos that are watchable. People can
mm-hmm.
understand what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
all a load of nonsense. Yeah, load of nonsense from Sabor's part.
yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Um, so you know the stuff that he's saying about Alex O'Connor. So they had their debate was probably, I feel like 2020, because I was in my first year of university when they had it, and I
Yeah.
remember watching that.
Yeah.
That debate seemed fine to me. I think it was on like human rights or something. The one that Alex complained about was the one with Mohammed Hijab,
Yeah.
the one where he said they edited clips and didn't give him rights to the footage and stuff like that.
Yeah. I watched.
Whereas
Sorry, I was just saying. Yeah, I watched Alex's video on that just recently. He was talking about how they didn't let him upload his own footage.
yeah,
He showed how they manipulated the comments, where the video had something like about 700,000 views, but only like 600 comments. And actually, there's actually even fewer comments now. For some reason, it's gone down to like 570 comments. So they're clearly just highly editing it. And that bit about what Alex said about how they spliced in external footage, took things out of context. Yeah, that sounds like it's clearly dishonest. But then we've got to expect this from these people after all the things they've done. Because we start off trying, imagining them to be, fairly honest, and that you think you'd have honest discussions with them, and then you just come across their tactics. Like, because like in my own example, when I had that call in with the Muslim Lantern and Subboor and discussing their video on evolution, just, I had that, and they spent the entire time just posturing about subscriber numbers and how they had many more subscribers than me, because I had, at that time I had less than 100. They had thousands, and they kept on saying how much that my opinion was all irrelevant. And then they got this argument between Subboor and Professor Dave Farina. Dave Farina's got like 3.5 million, and Subboor's still in the thousands. And he's not saying that. He suddenly dropped this subscriber number thing now that he's arguing.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got many more subscribers than him.
Yeah, it's very hypocritical.
It is.
I don't know why Subboor thinks he's so qualified to discuss this topic, because from what I know, he doesn't have a science degree. I think he has a degree in philosophy, as like a master's in philosophy or something like that, but not a science degree.
Yeah.
So that's quite evident from what he says.
It's true.
But he keeps saying how he wants to take Dave to the deep waters, but it's like
it's
just the specifics. Dave is just going to know way more than he does.
Yeah.
He's going to have to.
Yeah.
Be like use like sophistry to kind of twist Dave's saying to make it sound like he's saying something else.
Exactly, because it's obvious already from the when Dave did his debunk of their video. That's that same video that I did 4 videos on, because I went into it. But Dave, he did a thorough demolition of their video while he was drinking scotch. And there was. And if a guy who's drinking scotch can demolish everything you say, then you clearly must be talking complete nonsense. And of course Subboor puffed his chest out, but he doesn't know anything, because I've spoken to Subboor a few times. He's kind of like got the same arguments, and it's one of the reasons why I find that making videos on Subboor so tiring, because of the same arguments. He says things like, science doesn't lead to absolute truth, so therefore you should believe his religion, which according to him does lead to absolute truth, which is complete little rubbish.
Yeah. I mean, like Dave already destroyed James Tor, who has an actual PhD, so he knows something. At least he knows the basics.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Subboor thinks he will do any better. And Subboor keeps acting like James won that debate, when even like James's own students who were attending the debate, they were the ones clapping for Dave, and they were asking James questions that were going against what he was saying.
Exactly.
And the ones that were asking Dave questions, they were all the Christians that had the seats filled out front. Yeah. So, it's very obvious who won that debate.
I mean, Dave Farina, definitely. And it's quite incredible that, Professor James Tor, he does know chemistry, so he's kind of like twisting things to fit his religious narrative. It's quite remarkable that Subboor, with all this, makes James Tor look reasonable, rational, and well organized. Which is it's quite an achievement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, James has his own kind of scandals going on with
Exactly. Yeah.
students and other professors, but
Mm.
um,
Yeah. That's definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was wondering, where would this go for Subboor? Because he was brought in by Hamza Sortsis
Mhm.
as part of this Dawah, and I think he was given this role that he was going to argue um, for Islam as and portray himself as like the evolution expert.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, he's got no credibility now. He's been thoroughly humiliated. Not just this Dave Farina issue where Dave has completely humiliated Subboor. There was the other issue with Skydive Phil,
Mhm.
where he brought on Subboor's favourite philosopher, Elliot Sober, and Elliot Sober just said that Subboor was completely misrepresenting him.
Yeah.
And so that was another smackdown. And I wouldn't be surprised if Hamza Sortsis gets Subboor and says, "I'm sorry, Subboor, you've got no credibility here. We need to find something else for you to do."
Hamza Sortsis is actually friends with my dad. So there's I have a link there. I've never met him or spoken to him, but yeah, my dad had spoken to him. From what I only saw like one video from him about evolution. It was something to do with sheep. But he doesn't really. He mostly talks about, I think, more philosophical stuff like consciousness and other philosophical stuff. I mean, he's a Greek guy, so it makes sense.
Yeah, so he's they all have their own roles in a way.
Yeah.
And to Subboor thinks he's been portrayed as like the expert on evolution, and there's Yusuf Ponders, who's like some expert on nihilism, and Hamza Sortsis is this his supposed expertise is in consciousness, and I've done a few videos debunking his consciousness and rubbish, because all he's trying to say, he's trying to really push for dualism, that there's a separate mind and body, because he needs people to believe there's a soul so that you go to heaven afterwards. It's all misrepresenting what we know just for his religious agenda.
Yeah, and all of these guys that have their own, specialism, they don't actually seem to have a degree in that area. They've just been assigned that role, and they're studying it, but mainly what they're saying is kind of pseudoscience. So no one there actually seems to have a degree in psychology or biology, anything like that.
No, definitely not. I mean, because I think Subboor's been studying for it's like a PhD in the philosophy of biology for the last 10 years or something like that. He's been promising a book that for years, and one of the people I watch, Detective Inspector Monkfish, I think every year he does a video, and it's called "Where is your stupid book, Subboor?" Year, and then the number, and I think he's on year 5. So it's like, "Where is your stupid book, Subboor?" Year 5.
Yeah. Regarding Muhammad Hijab, I don't know if there's a Muslim scholar on YouTube. His name is Mufti Abu Layth.
I've heard of him.
If you have, yeah. So I've spoken to him a few times, but a good few years back, he said he was commenting on the whole Palestine-Israel thing. His solution was that Israel should pay Palestinians to go and live somewhere else. And then because of that, what happened is basically Mohammed Hijab basically sent a bunch of Muslim guys to bang up his house, smash his windows, break into his house, terrorize his whole family. And since then, he hasn't acknowledged that he's done that. He denies it, but it's very clear that it's him. And, it's just swept under the rug.
Yeah, that's very bad. That was the. I saw the footage of the thugs going around his house. And,
yeah.
There's no need for any of that. I mean, I think Hijab he does have this thuggish persona. It's mostly because you watch him in Speaker's Corner. I really want to see him in Speaker's Corner, but person. He's never been there when I've been there, but I've seen his videos, and I think he likes to think that if because of his height and his size, if he's towering over somebody and yelling at them, he thinks that gives him some sort of victory. It doesn't.
Yeah, he's very, very like confrontational and aggressive. I mean, it's quite unfortunate that these things happen, because with Muslims, they're kind of just they're falling into the stereotype that a lot of Islamophobic people would say this truth, so they're not really
Mm.
helping themselves. So it makes it more difficult for genuine Muslims, so guys like
Exactly.
myself, to escape that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do appreciate that Dave said that his video isn't an attack on Muslims because he has a lot of Muslim friends or family.
Yeah.
It's just specifically those Dawah guys.
Yeah, the last few minutes of Dave's last video, that was highly, that was really well thought out, really intelligent what he said. It's clear that Dave Farina could see that these people do not represent the Muslims, and in a way, I'm beginning to think there is this backlash against them because Subboor had this fundraiser for the videoing of this so-called debate, and I'd looked at it. He got less than half requested. There's only been about 35 donations, and he hasn't had any donations in the last 2 years. Sorry, not 2 years, in the last 2 days. So since people have been starting watching Dave Farina videos and they're realizing about Subboor, I'm totally understandable why Muslims wouldn't want to give him any money. And also, as well as that, because the other person is Hamza Mayat of Hamza's Den, and he's somebody that I spoke to a lot, and I just, I kind of like toy with him because he's so stupid that he doesn't understand basic arguments, and all he does is argue with Christians about their Bible. And there was a recent Arena episode where there was a Christian, and he was asking them really tough questions, and Hamza was struggling, so he just told him that this guy's drunk. And he told him to go away and sober up. And this guy was like, no, I haven't had a drink in 20 years. And Hamza was saying, no, you're drunk. Go and sober up and come back. And then the comment section on that video were people saying, Hamza, you treated this guy really bad. That's very rude. I'm going to stop watching the Arena anymore if you're going to treat guests like that. You need to portray Muslims as being better than this. So, it's good to see. I think I want to see some more backlash. People saying that you don't want Hamza Sortsis, Hamza Mayat, Muhammad Hijab, and Subboor Ahmad. They don't want them to be representing them.
Yeah. I mean, I would say he's good at arguing against Christianity. A lot of his arguments are similar to what like atheists or biblical scholars would say about Christianity. But when it comes to defending like his own beliefs, he'll always deflect and start asking different questions.
Exactly.
So he'll never actually answer the question. He'll just ask something else, and he'll try to control the conversation because it's his area.
Yeah.
But I've never seen him go onto like someone else's channel and then have a debate there or have a debate on a neutral platform. It's always, if you want to step into the arena, where him and his four guys can control the conversation and they take turns saying different things, but they'll never get into actual debate on something like modern day debate or another debate platform. They won't do that.
Yeah, he should do it. I mean, he talks about he keeps inviting Christians to the dead and all this, and there's this stream where he wants Christians to call in. I think it'd be good. He should go on modern day debates because that gives you like an air of credibility. If you can go on that and argue your points, where you've got opening statements, back and forth, questions, Q&A. But no, he just comes on, gets Christians on, it basically insults them, and just kicks them off and stuff. And also the other thing is that I think he's given up on atheists because he lets atheists join, and then he just sits there and says, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. And it's like, well, why did you let him come on then if you're just going to sit there and say you don't care?
Yeah, I mean, his arguments against atheism are quite bad, so it makes sense why he's given up there. It's mainly just Christianity with him. Sometimes they might do something on Hinduism. They might let a Hindu join. I've seen that. That's mainly what he does now. I think he just sits there for 4 hours, lets some Christians join, says some stuff, get some donations. That's what he does. There was I'm not sure if do you know who John Fontaine is?
Yeah, I've spoken to John Fontaine.
Yeah, he went on Modern Day Debate to, I think he debated God Logic. I'm not sure. One of the questions. So he's gone on there, but the others haven't.
Yeah, I called in once and I spoke to him. I was talking about evolution and the endogenous retroviruses. and yeah, he just wasn't any good. He was just saying, "But the Quran says this, the Quran says that," and that whole discussion. And then I just got fed up and said, "Look, I don't care what it says." And then he said, then he was like, "Well, I'm not talking to you." Then they kicked me off. But I did meet him
Well,
again. I met him again
uh-huh.
a few months later in Speaker's Corner, and he was just he was a nice guy. It was just I didn't think he remembered me, but we had a gentle chat. He was quite pleasant in person.
Yeah, yeah. You also met was it Mansour or one of the
Mansour, I've met Mansour.
was it Mansour?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
more than one. I've met Mansour. He's had we had a couple of nice conversations. There's sometimes one time I did like chase him around Speaker's Corner trying to get a chat.
Yeah.
He was clearly running away from me. So I've spoken to him. I've spoken to Hisham, and my last real conversation was the EF Dawah, Abbas. Abbas from EF Dawah.
Abbas, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I meant to say Abbas. Yeah. So because they uploaded your video on their channel, which I saw.
Yeah. I mean, Abbas, he's a lovely chap. The discussion that we had in Speaker's Corner, was really polite. He's a really nice guy. I've spoken to him online, and I've spoken to him in person now. He's a really good bloke. And these are the people that you think all these Muslims, they should follow EF Dawah because they're really nice people. And I've not met Dr. Imran. I want to meet him.
Yeah.
In person.
You did a video on them too recently, was it?
Yeah.
Was it on? They were saying about homology. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I did a video of them because even though they're nice people, focus on the science as well. So if they say something wrong about science, then I'll do a video correcting them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, regarding the Skydive Phil and Subboor Ahmad debate in Speaker's Corner, the main point that Subboor was focusing on was like homology. He just kept going on about homology the whole time, which that was quite annoying. And then then at the end he was claiming that Phil was running away because he had to go.
That's what it was. That was a 2-hour discussion of
exactly.
Phil repeating the same point and then giving up and then saying, well, I mean, they'd only agreed like 2 hours and he had something else to do. Subboor was saying that because Phil left, that he tried to declare that as some sort of victory.
Mm-hmm. But then dismissed. A lot of the times the Muslims will have to go because it's sunset and they have to pray, but no one's going to say, "Oh, you're running away." They'll be genuine about it. Oh, yeah, that's fine. You can pray, but when it's the other way around, so you're running away. I've never been to Speaker's Corner myself. I've been to Hyde Park for some of the Palestine marches, but I've never been to Speaker's Corner. I think it would be fun to go and see what it's like. I think my dad's offered to take a few times, just haven't had the opportunity. I mean, it would be fun to converse with different atheists, Muslims, Christians.
It's interesting. I mean, I don't tend to go that often because I'm not in London, and the other problem is that you never know who's there because I don't think they announce really when they're going. They just decide when, maybe on the day or something, and they just turn up. And sometimes I've been there where it's not been anybody I know, and still the same. Just these usual Christians there. There's some very loud. There's that loud woman who's. Amy. I think her name is so loud. She came. She's what she tried to interrupt my discussion with.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We both had to tell her to get lost.
Yeah, I know she's had a few run-ins with Hamza. A lot. They've had some back and forths, which it's. I mean, when I've seen her stuff, she just seems to be in a lot of denial. The thing when I see Christians is that when they start losing the debate, they just kind of go into preacher mode and they just start, reciting the Bible and saying this, and they start ignoring the arguments and they just try to speak to their audience.
Yes. I've not really argued with them because they, from what I've seen, they've not really gone into the science realm at all, the science dial. And also, there's a lot of people who are doing debunking, like Christian science denial. So it's not really an avenue that I would explore. It's already been done.
Yeah. I think with Christians, it's mainly the young Earth creationism stuff. A little bit of evolution, but mainly the young Earth. Because even scientists like Michael Behe, he advocates. I mean, he says no evolution, but then he says the Earth is still old. So it's either one of those two, I guess.
Yeah, I think
then you have the really. Yeah.
He's the Michael Behe. He does the irreducible complexity.
Yes. Yeah, that one.
It's another one that's been debunked by Professor Dave. So.
Yeah. Then you have quite extreme Christians who they'll be flat earthers, but they're usually like way off the spectrum that no one takes seriously.
Exactly. There's been a lot of those debunking of those. There was that bit where they paid for some flat earthers to go to Antarctica to watch the 24-hour sun.
Yeah,
I think some of them changed their minds. So.
Yeah, it was. I think only one guy, Jaron, he changed his mind, and he's been shunned from the community. They were saying, "Oh, he was a paid show. This was all planned." The other guy, I think it was Austin Whitsitt. He had a debate with Dave before that. He accepts the 24-hour sun. The people are saying, "Oh, it's fake. It was green screen. He was vaping." And he's been arguing with those flat earthers. He still thinks the Earth is flat. He's just trying to come up with a new model that can account for the 24-hour sun. I don't know how he's going to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's just another strange religion, isn't it? The flat Earth.
Yeah.
So, what have you been up to in terms of your life, your beliefs? Anything different at all? Did you catch that, Farina?
Am I believing different? Do you mean?
Yeah, sorry. I think your screen froze for a few seconds. So I wasn't sure.
You're just cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. Can you hear me? Yeah, just do you have any changes? Any your thoughts at all or anything since we last spoke?
I mean, I'm still Muslim. There was that. I'm still a vegan, so I know we discussed that a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm currently lecturing physics in a college. So it's a college in High Barnet. It's called Barnet and Southgate College. So that's where I'm working right now. I got married recently in December.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. And my wife is Shia. So so I'm Sunni, she's Shia. And did you say you were a medical doctor?
Yes. Yeah. Medical doctor. Yeah.
So are you like a GP or?
Yeah, GP specialist. Yeah.
GP. Okay. All right. That's cool. So that's like what, NHS?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Anything else you wanted to say about the Dawah? Anything you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I think there was a few more things. Just trying to think.
Sure.
So with Subboor, I mean, what he's essentially doing is he's just taking the arguments that the Christians use, so the Discovery Institute, and he's just repackaging them in a kind of Islamic fashion. So it's all the same stuff that's already been said by, like Michael Behe, Stephen Meyer, all of those guys, Casey Luskin, that, Dave's done a very long series debunking. He's just even less qualified than them because they at least have something to their name, even though they're dishonest. But Subboor doesn't have anything.
Exactly. I've watched some of his other stuff where ones where he's in discussion with another Dawah person, and he just uses some of the most basic, easily refuted arguments, like the design argument. I just think after all these years, you haven't come up with anything better than that.
It's the same. Yeah, the problem with like theism these days, it's just the same arguments that have been debunked already like not just recently, but like hundreds of years ago, by like David Hume and philosophers from back then. Like nothing's really changed.
Mm.
It's always like fine tuning and calm cosmological argument from William Lane Craig.
It's the same.
They still
ones, yeah.
Yeah, and they still act like those still hold. There's no good response to the problem of evil, problem of suffering. So it just seems like their arguments haven't advanced, at all for a long time. So I'm not really sure what they're doing now. They just pretend, oh yeah, they have all the right answers. They'll appeal to consciousness a lot, trying to say, consciousness has to be immaterial, and atheists can't explain consciousness. But even if atheists couldn't explain it, then that doesn't mean you just say, oh, therefore God explains it. I mean, there could be an explanation, because that's just God with gaps. So
it is, yeah. I look. Sometimes I see a video that I think I should debunk this, and I watch it, and it's the same points that I've already debunked in a dozen other videos. So I'm watching them, looking for a new thing to try and debunk. Yeah, there's just a lot of repetition of what they say.
Yeah. I when I don't want to like start uploading my own like debunks a lot of like what Muslims and Christians say, but I just haven't had that much time. But yeah, like when I get more time, I want to get more into that, because the arguments are just they're just not good. Yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, so out of the Dawah guys, the ones that you find the most respectful are Abbas and Dr. Imran, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
those two.
Yeah, I can tell, like, based on the way that they talk, it's a lot softer, whereas the others, like especially like Muhammad Ijab, like they're very quick to start mocking their opponent, and it's just to like win points for the audience, really.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be confirmation bias, because the audience is Muslim, so they're always going to agree with the Muslim. Even if the Muslim looks bad, they're still just going to agree. There's very little honesty, which is ironic, because as a Muslim, you're supposed to tell the truth and be honest. So it's another way that they're misrepresenting Islam.
Yeah, that's quite ironic at the moment with how Subboor has been behaving recently.
Yeah.
He had a video out today saying that Dave Farina should come to Speaker's Corner.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's just funny. He's been posturing, pretending that he's set up this big debate at a university, which Dave's latest video showed that it was completely false. So now Subboor says, "Oh, come to Speaker's Corner."
Yeah, and because he keeps saying that 1,500 or whatever the money he sent initially is enough to come to England. But even if it was enough, he said in the initial videos that he's gonna pay for the trip and any other expenses that he wants, any other trips that he wants. So that's not setting a cap on the amount of money. Like Dave could ask for even more money because he wants to visit more sites in England, but he just asked for 3,500. And he hasn't even sent that. He's only sent 3,300, and they're always in like weird amounts. It's always like £1,329.29. Like I don't know why wouldn't he send like £1,000, then 1,500, £500 like that? That would make a lot more sense if he's transferring a lot of funds.
Yeah, I think it might be some bank fees or PayPal fees. They take a bit and they transfer
right, yeah.
And that's how you end up with odd numbers. That's from my experience. But one thing to notice too, because Dave said he'd give the money back.
Yeah.
If Subboor just put out a video saying he'd lied. And obviously Subboor's not going to do that, because it's just not in his character to do that, and he'll, because as I said, if it was my money, and if I'd spent 3,500, and I probably would admit to it if it was a way of getting my money back. But I think probably because it's general Dawah era money, he's not going to bother trying to claim it back. Yeah,
and I mean, I don't know why doesn't he just have the actual university set it up rather than the Islamic Society of the university. Because, I mean, if he was debating a Christian at a different university and it was like the Christian society doing it, or if he was debating a Marxist and it was the Marxist society doing it and it wasn't the university doing it, then I feel like he probably wouldn't go to that. He'd want a neutral party setting up the debate,
Exactly.
not his own side, his own team doing that. Because obviously, the president of the Islamic Society is obviously gonna take his side.
Yeah.
So why would Dave come into like a room full of Muslims, where no one will want to take him seriously? He's not going to be treated nice, probably. That's just not in his best interest to do that. It would have to be some kind of neutral platform. It would have to be the university organizing it.
Yeah, that's what it should be. I mean, I think when you'd seen Subboor speak in a room of only about 20 people, and you think, what, do they just book a room just for that? And
Yeah.
is Dave going to just walk in, trying to present his arguments in that? It's going to be quite intimidating, I suppose, if you don't have, if you don't have security, because you just if you don't know these people, I wouldn't go in there unless I actually paid for some guy to come and act as a protector.
Yeah, because it is just like they booked a room, but they haven't.
Hello?
It's just they booked a room for.
You froze for a few seconds. Sorry.
Oh yeah. No, I was just saying the general event, like the uni didn't even know that a debate was happening at their campus. Just a normal Islamic event. It could have been anything. Could have been like a Muslim giving a talk. Could have been just a discussion with the students. So it's very like unprofessional. It's not an official debate where it's being announced by the uni. Oh, there's this big debate happening. It's going to be in this hall. There's this many seats available. You need this many tickets. It's just, show up, then you have the debate, and then you go, and that's it.
Yeah. That's why I don't think they had actually done anything. I just wonder whether they even if they did just book a room for the Islamic Society, whether that was just to say they booked a room and not actual for the debate, because Dave showed how they didn't get clearance from the university for external speakers, and I know from studying in the UK, the universities take external speakers, the issue of that, really seriously, because they don't want controversial speakers coming into their campus and giving offensive views or whatever, because it's bad publicity for them. So they take that quite seriously. So clearly the Subboor haven't done any of this, haven't made any effort to set up a proper debate.
Yeah, and that's the main issue. I think that's why it's not going forward right now, because there isn't anything official. It's it's as official as saying, oh, just come to my house and we'll have a debate there and we'll record it. Like, it's not an official debate. And even in his most recent Speaker's Corner video, he was saying, oh, come to Speaker's Corner, come to a hotel, we can have a debate there, but you won't do it. So it's like, well, he wants to. Why don't you just go online then have a chat like that? That's
exactly. Dave offered an online debate for free, so why not just go for that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So with the Alex O'Connor thing, I think it was just the Muhammad Hijab debate where the things were cut out, right? Not the Subboor Ahmad debate, or was it both?
I think from the Muhammad Hijab debate was the one where they spliced in internal footage.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, because I didn't really watch the full Subboor Alex O'Connor debate. And I don't think Alex has done a reaction video to that, as far as I'm aware. So I don't think there was much going on. But clips, I think there were some bits that were taken out of maybe taken out of context.
Yeah, they always post little clips of saying, "Oh, this atheist gets rattled by this question," or something like that. There
was the other one, even in Speaker's Corner today, because there's a Jewish guy
Mhm.
there, and I met him once queuing for a coffee at Speaker's Corner at the cafe, and I exchanged a few pleasantries, and he seemed a nice chap, and yeah, Subboor was quite derogatory to him in his video, and the Jewish guy was about to respond and say something, then the video cut out. So I wonder what he actually said to him.
Yeah. So you did talk to Muslim Lantern as well, right? Or was it just Sabur?
I spoke to, yeah, there was once that I spoke to Subboor and the Muslim Lantern together,
Mhm.
and that was in when they requested a call when they did the call-in show because of their video. That's the bit that they cut out, but the analysis is on my channel. And there were a couple of times where that was the other issues where I did do some analyses of Muslim Lantern's videos,
Mhm.
and what he did is he does live streams where he invites non-Muslims to call in, and he immediately takes it private afterwards, and then he uploads selected bits. And what I used to do was to just record that as it was going on live, and then do an analysis. And he put in a copyright lock, so I lost. I had 2 videos were disappeared because of that, so I had to stop recording his live streams.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I remember there was one funny clip where I think he was arguing with an atheist, and it was about like objective morality, and he was trying to say that his morality is objective because he follows what God says. And then the atheist was saying, "Oh, but that just makes God the subject, so that's not objective morality." And he was saying, "Oh no, that's not my definition of objective morality." I was like, well, "That's so." So you're just talking about something else then. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't. He's another person that I've tried to meet up. I do want to just meet him in person. Particularly, I want to see him in person, and I want to ask him about the bit where they cut me out of their video. Didn't he? I mean, yeah,
He'll probably just deny it and start gaslighting you and say, "Oh look at this atheist."
yeah, probably. So I wanted to, if I can meet him in person, I'll get my own camera because he's in. He does go to Speaker sometimes. He's got like a stall, I think Leicester Square. And there's like a Dawah store there, and there's another one that's like down the road that they also have. It's within like a couple of minutes walk away. I can't remember. I've seen them there, but a few times I've never met Muhammad Ali. I would like to, he's one of the ones I would like to meet in person.
Yeah, he was the one that did the initial presentation that Dave debunked.
Yeah,
right. It was his presentation,
yeah.
And he was trying to flex. I was like, "Oh, I only did this in like 1 hour or whatever." And if I dug into it more, there's so much more. But I mean, it was literally just copy and paste from like Discovery Institute, the same stuff that they've said.
Yeah.
Nothing new.
It was all very bad. I mean, he put up a slide with like 10 links.
Yeah.
He wouldn't open any of them. And when I checked each link, most of them just didn't say anything that was relevant to what he was talking about.
Yeah.
It was, but very shoddy.
Yeah. I think I think the most like obvious like evidence for evolution for me is just like genetics. Like we do like DNA testing. Like if you want to find out who your biological father is, you do a DNA test and you see like how much of the DNA is matching, right? The closer you are related to someone, the more close your DNA will be. Like all humans have like a 99.99 something match of DNA. So then how do you explain the 98% match with chimps? Like why do you draw the line at humans and say, oh, this DNA matching with chimps, it doesn't matter, or this DNA matching with 50% with bananas, it doesn't matter. It's only when it's humans. Like what's the difference there?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just cognitive dissonance on their part. They say things like because nothing's absolute. So even when you have like a paternity test, the test will come back saying the chances of this man not being the father is 100 billion to 1. And of course everyone's going to accept it as true. But then when you have like the ERVs and you say the difference that they got there without common ancestry is also 100 billion to 1. There say things like, "Well, it's not absolutely certain" or anything like that. So it's double standards. It's a tuning skepticism. It's just dishonesty.
Yeah, yeah, and then Subboor wants to separate common ancestry from evolution by natural selection and have like two separate debates there. So obviously they're all connected. So he wants to just isolate that one thing so that Dave isn't allowed to bring the other things that connect them together.
Exactly, yeah, and it's his religious background that's interfering with his thought processes. Because I wanted to say to him, Subboor, do you accept goat and sheep common ancestry? Because that's that's only been a few million years. So it's the same as say humans and chimps. Then you got things like rat and mice common ancestry.
Yeah.
You'd probably say, yeah, well, no problem with that. I'd say, what about humans and chimps? I'd say, oh well, but the Quran says Adam was created.
Yeah. It's mainly the human evolution that the Muslim preachers always say, oh no, we have a problem with this. You can accept any other, evolution. You can say dogs and cats and everything else are related, but humans are special. So yeah, I think did you do a video on Shoaib Malik? I think
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So his view is he believes in, I think, either human exceptionalism or Adam exceptionalism. So it says that so human exceptionalism is that everything had a common ancestor except humans. Then Adam exceptionalism would be that all the humans had a common ancestor, but then Adam was created miraculously and placed by God. So that's like even that view is like it's not a recent view. Like Muslim scholars from the past have had that view. So it's not like a modernist view. It goes back. So it's just I don't know. I mean, Islam. I don't think Islam should have a problem with evolution. There's a lot of arguments that say that explain how it explains how evolution fits into God's plan or whatever. Because if you deny evolution, then you're denying all the evidence for evolution. You're saying that God placed all these fossils and all these things, and for us to find that actually he just tricked us. We didn't really evolve. So that makes God out to be kind of deceptive. Like why do 99% of like the philosophers and scientists, why do they all accept evolution? Even like the ones that are Muslim, the ones that are Christian, why do they all accept evolution? They're just all wrong, even though they've been studying it their whole life.
So if evolution is wrong, then either we don't know anything about science, or it's been one massive hoax from supernatural, just made everything look like we'd evolved and it wasn't.
Yeah, because like it's as credible as gravity, but no one's going to question gravity. But they're both a theory. But everyone will say, "Oh, evolution is just a theory. You don't have to accept it." But then gravity is also a theory, but you accept that. So why do you accept gravity? Why do you not accept evolution? And they just don't understand what a theory is in science.
That's it. They do.
Yeah.
They argue over definitions. Subboor seems to have his own definitions for things, which he makes up, which is not followed by any other no scientific body would use his definitions. So he makes them up, and they don't understand the difference between fact, theory, hypothesis. So you have to start a discussion with them by lecturing them and trying to educate them on what these words mean.
Yeah. I mean, I do think like it is like kind of a problem that the scientific community use the word theory that is commonly used to mean a hypothesis that does cause a lot of confusion. But I mean, that's just how it is now, that you're not going to change that definition. A scientific theory is like a well-established fact, basically.
Exactly.
And that just takes 1 second to Google, like, what is a scientific theory? You're gonna come up with your definition. It's not just a guess, but you'll have like Zucker and Nike just constantly saying, "Oh, it's a theory, it's a theory." There's no book called The Fact of Evolution, so you don't have to accept it. But then at the same time, he'll use the Big Bang, which is also a theory, but he'll use that to say, "Oh, look, the Quran says the Big Bang." But you pretend the Big Bang is a fact, even though it's a theory. Then evolution.
These
But yeah, they're just picking and choosing which parts of science they want to use. So if this agrees with the Quran or the Bible, then this is true. But if this goes against it, then it's not true. And they always say, oh, science is always changing. So tomorrow you could wake up and there could be a whole new theory about the universe. So you never know. You can't trust science. Whereas religion is constant, so you know that it's true. But I mean, the chances of evolution of being overturned are so low that it's no reason to.
It's not going to happen. And also with their scientific things, I just would say to them, can you name any instance where you looked at the Quran, it predicted something, and science confirmed that? And nearly always, they look at what science has discovered, then they look to the Quran, find some vague passage which they retrofit to make it look like the Quran agrees with what modern science says.
Yeah. There's one verse in the Quran that talks about the sun like dipping into a lake, kind of, or like a well.
Sits in a muddy spring or something.
Yeah, the muddy spring. And you could, like, some people will interpret that to mean a flat Earth, but then the Dawah guys would say no. They'll have their own interpretation, which is fine, like, because I don't think that means it's a flat Earth. But why don't they do that, with the passages that they think goes against evolution? Because they're interpreting one verse to deny the literal meaning of, it's literally saying into a muddy spring, so the Earth is flat. But then they won't do it with something like evolution.
I think the difference is that with flat Earth, it's been so debunked.
Yeah.
You, even if you try to argue for it, you'd look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And when I think Masked Arab, he did an analysis of that verse about the sun setting in the muddy spring, and he was going through all the translation, all the exegeses, all the analyses of that, and how from the beginning, from the 7th century, all they said, sun sets in a muddy spring, goes all the way till about something like the 1400s, and then they changed it to say the sun appears to have set into a muddy spring when once everyone had people around the world had realized that the world wasn't flat.
Yeah, I mean the Earth was discovered to be round way back by the Greeks, right? So that was before Islam came around.
Yeah, it's BC.
So I'd imagine that a lot of the Muslims at the time probably would have believed the Earth is round, but I'm not too sure.
I mean, I think because when you say the Greeks, they would have been the first people would have realized at that time would have realized that the Earth was round. But then there'd always be people who, isolated and not well educated. I think there's probably quite a lot of evidence when you look to realize that Prophet Muhammad thought the Earth was flat. Just from the verses, I think it's fairly clear.
Based for the verses from the Quran, you would say.
Yeah. I think from some of the sayings, I don't have more to my head, but if anyone Googles Quran flat Earth, they'll see all the things that suggest it, especially things like this, the 7 heavens and things with the sun and the moon and the stars and all of this, like the lowest heaven or something like that. So maybe I might have got that a bit wrong, but yeah, there's certainly enough to suggest it. They thought it was a flat Earth.
Yeah, so I think the first heaven, it's said to contain all of the stars. So usually, the usual view is that the first heaven is like the observable universe, and then the rest kind of goes up. And then some people might say, it's like higher dimensions or something like that, or alludes to a multiverse. There's a lot of different ideas or interpretations about the 7 heavens, because it's meant to be a part of the unseen, so you don't really know what it is. You can just kind of guess. But yeah, there's one scholar called Shabir Ali. I'm not sure if you know who he is, but
yes.
So he has a lot of videos on evolution, like explaining how it can fit in. So he seems to be one of the more honest scholars, but then he gets a lot of backlash from like more traditional Muslims that say, he's a deviant, don't listen to him. Because there's one verse in the Quran where So when Adam and Eve are like cast out from the garden, I think God says, you know, you go down from here. But the word for you that they use is it's a plural, and in Arabic the plural is two or more. So that means he would be talking about at least three people. So if it was just Adam and Eve being there, it wouldn't make sense. So there's one interpretation that saying that it might have been a group of people that had to go down. I mean, it wouldn't mean it literally went down from heaven to earth. It could just mean like, go downtown, something like that. So that's one interpretation that Shabir Ali said. Um, that stuck out to me. I think that was
Yeah, I've watched him. There's bits where he's interviewed by his daughter quite a few
yes.
times. Yeah,
Mhm.
and he's actually, I actually admire his honesty in a lot of things, because some of these Dawah people, they sugarcoat things, the controversial topics, and then you've got people like Shabir Ali and Daniel Hakikachu who just, they just come out and say it as they interpret it, and they don't they don't care if it's offends people with modern sensibilities, and it's good that they just come out. It's just say it like that. Actually, I admire them for just for being honest.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think he's like open to accepting science. Their channel. They've even had like a lot of like Shia scholars on, which is good because usually like most Sunnis they don't accept Shias at all. They sometimes they see them as like worse than Christians and atheists.
It's heretics, they see them as some.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, he's had Shias on. I feel like he has had Christians on, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think his stuff with science is good, but then his arguments for God are kind of the same. So it's like design argument, fine tuning, um, cosmological argument, which I think that's been debunked. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he I think he rose to fame from debating a lot of Christians and doing quite well in those debates. Like Jay Smith, they had a debate a while ago. That was probably his biggest debate. So yeah, I've always been like a big fan of him. As a scholar, as a speaker, he's very nice. You won't see him being rude like these Dawah guys.
There's certainly a difference in approach with some people.
Yeah, 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 and that's nice to see. I think more people should follow in those footsteps. But then they do get a lot of backlash from Muslims. Yeah. So one last thing I wanted to ask you about.
Sure.
So Alex O'Connor was meant to have a debate with David Wood. For modern day debate, they have like DebateCon coming up, and he pulled out because apparently there was a lot of like Islamists that were threatening to attack the place, and he didn't feel safe, so he decided to pull out. So I mean, that's like a really.
That's something.
I think.
Yeah, I think some people say that they don't like to. In a way, I just think, so I'm trying to articulate my thoughts and stuff like that. Something like, he may hold back on his criticism of Islam because he's worried for his safety. But then I just think you shouldn't, because Christians can be quite nice people. You shouldn't just only criticize them. You should show some sort of balance.
Yeah. I think he's because he's on with a lot of Christians now, and he seems a lot more. But he's said that he wants to be, he wants Christianity to be true. So he's in like good relations with Christianity. He still makes his videos like going against it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would want to see him, make videos about Islam. I think that would be good to see his input because he's only touched on it a few times. Like obviously he debated Muhammad and Subboor, and I think he had this kind of like Sufi scholar guy on recently on his podcast, but that's about it. He hasn't really made content on Islam, so I've always wondered about what his thoughts are, but I think he feels like he can't express them.
Yeah, it's generally sad. I think it should.
Yeah.
So I think as long as you are honest and you back up your sources and you try not to maybe try not to be too aggressive, and then I think most of the time he'd probably be fairly safe.
Yeah, I think he should be.
It'd be good to see
I
his
think-
views because he said he's done his veganism and we spoke about veganism I think before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see his
Yeah.
views on lots of other things.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, so I think I saw a lot of comments saying that he should have like Mohammed Hijab on his podcast. It's within recent podcast, but he hasn't. I think he only mentioned Mohammed Hijab once when he was criticizing Jordan Peterson. But other than that, like I've noticed like the lack of Muslims on his podcast. Even if he's discussing Islam, it will be with someone who studies Islam but isn't a Muslim.
Yeah.
So like I've always wanted to see like how would he engage differently with Muslims compared to Christians, or would it be the same? Because obviously his background is Christianity, so he knows more about Christianity. But I haven't seen him like interact with Islam like that, which I think is disappointing.
Yeah. Although I think I would be surprised if Mohammed Hijab gets deplatformed after his behaviour on Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
He'd come across as like some raving lunatic.
Yeah. I mean, he's been on Piers Morgan a few times, but I don't think Piers won't let him back on. Yeah. Regarding Daniel Hakikachu, he's also had some backlash recently from, I don't know if you know Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, Jake Brancatella. Yeah. So I
picked up on that, but they were like inter-Muslim dialogue on things that as an outsider I didn't delve into it.
Yeah, I think it's mainly to do with I think Jake is like very against like Shiism, and Daniel is trying to say that trying to kind of bridge the gap, say their beliefs aren't they're not like, they can be deviant, but they're not like a deviant sect, they're still part of Islam. So it's mainly to do with that. So what whether you accept Shias or not. That's
I didn't delve into any of that. I was just mainly focused on science stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to do?
It's kind of unrelated, but
sure.
Do you watch Pine Creek Dog?
I did some of the times.
Yeah.
He's had some interesting things. He's had some arguments with Matt Dillahunty. Transgenderism is one of them, which I thought was quite good. And there was that he did an analysis of Matt Dillahunty's rage quit when he was debating Andrew Wilson. That was a good analysis, and that was a really funny video to watch. Matt storming out.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because Matt usually has that same energy with people he disagrees with, but then when someone comes back with the same energy, it seems like he can't handle it.
He dishes out all the Matt Dillahunty dishes out all this skepticism and criticism. As soon as anyone turns it on him, he says, "That's it, I'm off." It's just total hypocrite.
Yeah. And Andrew Wilson did debate Muslim Lantern, and then he left that debate because so obviously it was a Christianity versus Islam debate, but he didn't want Muslim Lantern to go after Christianity, so he wanted it to be they were going to debate like the Age of Aisha stuff, but he didn't want Muslim Lantern to bring up for example what happens like in the church or what the age of consent has been in Christianity. Sometimes it's like you'll see some stuff that says it's been as low as like 2 or 3. But obviously because Christians they don't seem to have defense for that. So when they make the the Age of Aisha argument, it's very easy to just kind of flip it on them. And then they say no, let's stick to Islam. And that was on Sneako's channel. They had that debate.
And then was the one there's the one with Daniel Kikuchu and remember that chap? I think maybe from Inspiring Philosophy. They had this discussion,
Yes,
and
yeah, they did.
Daniel Hikitachi, you know, he actually came out and said something like, "Oh well, if it's," he admitted if it was precocious puberty, then it would be okay. If it was a baby, and everyone was like gasped and thinking, "How could you say such a thing?" So he certainly did do himself any favors on that debate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, but he's like one of the few ones that will go on in a modern day debate and debate, you know, other people. You don't really see that from
Not
from
the others, yeah.
He's not afraid to let everyone know his controversial views. So I think some people respect that, even though they disagree with him heavily. They respect that he's just willing to say it how it is or how what he believes. Not sugarcoat it.
So yeah, I admire his honesty, definitely.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh yeah. So do you know Digital Gnosis?
Yes, Nathan. I think his
Yeah,
name
Nathan.
is.
Yeah.
I've watched
Yeah,
him.
so-
He's called in. He called in some of the Dawah stuff a few times.
Yeah, he did.
Some good calls. He's done that. There's a few.
Yeah.
Some of the ones I'd found that I used to watch, things like Digitally Modified Skeptic and the other one, Rationality Rules. Those two guys I used to admire, but they've gone completely loopy over this trans issues, and I just can't watch them anymore.
Yeah. I still watch. I still watch Rationality Rules. Even though he's more political now. I don't really do politics that much. I do still watch him. Genetically Modified Skeptic, not as much. I haven't really been watching his videos at all because it's pretty much all politics, and I'm not too interested in that.
Some of them I've watched for their older videos because they can be quite good.
Yeah. There was one. There was a recent video from Rationality Rules where he talks about like the best argument for God, or so what he thinks. He said it. He thinks there's a 30% chance of it being true, and it was basically that arguing that we're in a simulation, and then it would mean that we were put in a simulation by some higher beings, and then they would basically be gods. They would basically be God.
Yeah.
I've heard so that's.
I've heard people they call him the atheist experience and other channels, and they say we're in a simulation. And I must admit, I tend to zone out because I think, well, how do you know? How can we prove that? And if we come out of this level, we're in simulation 2.0, and it's just, I don't think it helps. I just assume everything is true because that's all we can experience.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really change anything if we are in a simulation. I think that the usual argument is that our technology is getting so advanced that we're eventually going to be able to simulate worlds and universes, and then within those simulations you'll have consciousness arise. If consciousness is material, then you'll have consciousness and sentience arise in those simulations, and then they'll think they're real. Then they'll do the same thing. Their technology will advance, and they'll create their own worlds with consciousness, and it'll keep going. And if that's true, then most likely we're not the originators. We wouldn't be the first level. We're probably somewhere in the middle. So there's probably probably.
Sorry. So yeah, there's been a few films exploring. I've been watching. There's one Korean film that was really good, and I think it's called Another Life or something, where people can have holograms of deceased relatives just in the house, and they interact with it. It has their personality and things. I think explored all the ethical issues with that. It's quite good, all this artificial intelligence and consciousness and communicating with your dead souls via dead relatives via hologram, and all the ethical issues of how long you carry on for, when should you just switch it off and things.
Yeah, there was this there was this kind of like science conference a while back where it was a group of scientists. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson was one of them. There was another guy who's called James Gates, which I think he specializes in that kind of like computational physics kind of thing. And he was saying how he discovered kind of like codes in the universe that seem to match like what we find in our computers. So he argued from that that we could be in a simulation because we see the similar codes. He's not like a Christian or anything. I think they were all atheists, but that conference it was quite interesting. I found, and I think the belief that we're in a simulation, I think it's becoming more mainstream now. I'm seeing a lot more videos. Oh yeah, we're in a simulation compared to before.
Yeah, I think it's with the growth of AI.
Yeah.
Computers getting a lot more sentient. It's quite a topic, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the big debate now is whether AI will become conscious or not in the future if we keep going.
You know what it is, but it's how conscious and whether it's enough. Whether it's enough to replace humans in things. I mean, I use AI quite a bit. I've got I use a program that I upload documents to, and it just gives me summaries, analyses, and I can ask it questions. It's certainly advancing a lot. It's just I think the amount of things it's made me better at work.
Yeah.
If it helps, then good.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's still like if AI does become conscious, there is like some fully conscious like a human like with a kind of sense of self. There's some like ethical concerns there because obviously like humans aren't known for treating other conscious beings well. Even like their own species, we've most of humanity we've had like slaves and we've been killing each other, and then when it comes to other species we've been very bad with them, like the way we farm them for their products. So there's a lot of concern of how if robots became conscious, how we would treat them. But yeah, that's like a that's like another big topic.
Ethical discussion you can have there.
Yeah. I mean, with AI, even though it's advancing quite quickly now, I think that's mainly because we're like kind of at like the beginning stage, and we might reach kind of like a brick wall where it just kind of stops for a bit, where and then it might continue after that. So I think that usually happens when there's like new technology. It like exponentially grows, and then eventually it plateaus somewhere. So that might be if trying to get them to be conscious.
It is all exciting.
Yeah, of course.
You've got ChatGPT, and especially the new Chinese one that's just come out, which is
DeepSeek. That one.
DeepSeek, yeah, that was it. And then that's that looks quite it's intriguing if it is super powered. As I'm hearing it is, it's going to be something that's going to shake up the AI. Definitely, something exciting. See how this is going to progress.
Yeah, I've heard with DeepSeek that because from the Chinese government that they're stealing your data. So I've heard people say to not use it. But I've seen like my students they'll use DeepSeek and ChatGPT to help answer their questions and their assignments. I think it's helping everyone. It's helping me as a teacher because I could just type in a topic and say, "Oh, can you create a worksheet for me based on these topics?" And it'll just do it, and then I'll print it out, rather than me having to find it from a different website and take time there.
It's good.
It's good. It's exciting. I think with the consciousness thing, obviously, if consciousness is immaterial, then AI probably won't become conscious. But I think for them to become conscious, then it would have to be material.
Exactly. So I don't see why consciousness isn't the result of an advanced brain. And you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
consciousness for different levels from in the animal kingdom upwards.
Mhm.
We say we have the highest level of consciousness as humans.
Mhm.
Do you think, well, because we have the most advanced brain, and I don't see why, in the future, a computer can't be as conscious as a human
Mhm.
if it has the same neural, if it's
Yeah,
neural
yeah.
advancement. Yeah.
Yeah, and then being able to upload human consciousness into different computers to store it in that
Yeah.
way could be a thing as well.
So, like those films with the dead people coming back as holograms.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's because Alex O'Connor talks about consciousness quite a lot. He's like agnostic on the issue whether it's material or immaterial, and he says so. The problem with if it is material, then he says when you think of something red, and you cut open your brain, you don't see red there. So where is that redness that you're thinking of? Or you think of some imaginary place, you have a picture in your head. If you were to cut open your head, where you wouldn't find that picture. So that's his like argument against it being material. But then for immaterial, he says, why is it so connected to the brain? Like, why is it that if the brain is damaged, then your consciousness is affected,
Yeah.
or it can even disappear, or like, or how does how does consciousness interact with the brain? Like, what's why is there a relation with the brain?
Yeah. When people have a general anesthetic, when they're
Mm.
breathing in the anesthetic gas or they have the anesthetic drug going into their vein, they lose consciousness within a few seconds, and you're completely there's no consciousness there. And then once the drug is taken away, people could very, very quickly just regain that consciousness. So
Yeah.
and the fact that it's fairly predictable how it works, and how quickly it works. It's to me, it's obvious that consciousness is just a product of an advanced brain rather than an immaterial soul.
Yeah, I think the hard problem of consciousness is kind of overhyped by a lot of theists to say, oh, they have no answer to this, they have no idea, because they don't have God, so they can't explain it.
Yeah,
Um,
and they don't want to explain it. They have to hold on to the concept of an immaterial soul.
yeah. I mean, like they're just happy to say, oh yeah, we don't know, so stop trying to explore it. Just accept that it's God.
Yeah,
It's like James Tour saying, "Oh, you're wasting your money funding Origin of Life research."
yeah. Well, it's Origin of Life research is a scam. He says something.
Yeah, yeah. Even though Lee Cronin said that was a joke, basically, but he still uses that. Still uses that excuse. He just doesn't want. Like, I mean, it's very anti-science to say, "Oh, don't look into this." Like, why would you not look into it? Like, it's it's human nature to investigate things.
Exactly. It's like he wants to kill off Origin of Life research before it even starts at all. Doesn't want people
Yeah.
even look into it at all.
Yeah, because he wants to keep that gap open for God. He won't admit it openly, but he wants to. I mean, his Christian followers are going to fill in the blanks, like, "Oh, there's no explanation, so it must be God."
Yeah.
But he's not going to say it because he's a scientist and he wants to seem more credible. But yeah, that's obviously the reason why. It's just dishonest. I mean, even the even the Quran says that you should go out into the world and look at the lands and discover how things work. Explore God's creation. Like that. I mean, I think that's what inspired the golden age of Islam, where a lot of breakthroughs happened with Muslims. Yeah. I think that's
Europe was in the Dark Ages, and then the Golden Age. It'd be good for it to come back, because you've got all that oil money in the Middle East, and if they you say they're doing lots of sport washing, getting all the footballers to come over to their leagues. Just think if they just said, "We've got all this money, let's just advance science or something, fund science programs," that would be really good.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what Muslims need to go back to, that spirit of inquiry and trying to learn more about God's creation rather than accepting, oh, it's just how it is. God did it. We don't need to find out.
Always good to learn about the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think like the problem with a lot of Muslims now is that they feel like they have to choose a direction, whether they go into more like studying religion and Islam, or they go into studying science. And I think most of the time, it's like the culture and the tradition, family, they want them to study the religion more. So that even if they want to study the science, they feel a pressure to go into studying religion. Then obviously it's not really helping society too much.
In that way, I actually think people who are quite helpful are the people like Francis Collins, head of the, I think, Geno Project, who's a Christian, but he won't let his faith get in the way of science.
Yeah.
And you could say, like, you could show these people up as saying, these are great scientists, who practice their religion, and at least it will encourage more religious people to actually open their minds to science.
Yeah. I think like you don't have to, you shouldn't let your religion like interfere with your scientific work. Obviously, you can believe you want, but you should accept scientific facts. And there's a lot of like there are Muslim scientists. They're just not popular because the Muslim scientists would obviously say, yeah, evolution is true, all of this is true, and the Muslim community are not going to accept that. So they're not really brought to the surface. It's these Dawah guys that are seen as, they represent Islam, not people who actually study science. But Christianity, there's more scientists leading that.
That's good. Hopefully that will come with Islam as well. Would be good.
Yeah.
It looks like the tide has already turned against the these Dawah clowns. Whatever we can do to diminish their influence and make people more open-minded and make people more civil, whatever your opinion, that's good.
Yeah, like Daniel Hakikachu, he did do a master's in physics at Harvard, but he's not using that degree to do anything. He's
I think if you got it would be good to contribute something productive to the world.
Yeah. He just wrote one book about, I think, like some problems of modernism or something like that. But no, he's not done anything with physics, even though he could go into that if he wanted to. He'd rather stay online and do debates and stuff like that. Yeah, Francis Collins did debate Alex O'Connor and Skydive Phil. I think, I think he was using mainly like fine tuning, design argument, those kinds of stuff.
Sorry, I'd say Francis, you had a really good discussion here with Richard Dawkins on on genetics, and they got on really well, which was nice.
Yeah.
One of my current ideas that I've been finding the time is I'm going to debunk Dennis Noble, because Subboor's championing him up, and there's a lot of things that have been said about Dennis Noble that may not be out in the public sphere. The thing I was trying to get more people aware of is suspicion that he said that people have been saying that he's been funded by the Templeton Foundation to try and produce a more like religious or purposeful design argument into biology.
Is Dennis Noble Christian or an atheist?
I think I don't know so much about his religion, but I think he might have been agnostic or something.
Okay, and he's like, does he mainly argue against like Darwinian evolution, or he just kind of
argues against Richard Dawkins' gene-centric view? He talks about systems as a whole, and systems as a whole, and purpose, design, things like that. He's part of this third wave evolution people who they've not really gained much traction. There's suspicion about them because they don't really have the evidence to back them up. And there is also the suggestion that they're just receiving money from the Templeton Foundation to try and trying to use purpose and design back in biology.
Yeah. I mean, the whole Discovery Institute was founded on putting like creation science back into schools
Yeah.
to teach that as like a alternative to evolution.
It's
But then
trying to get they're trying to get religion in through the back door that way.
and they changed that to like call it intelligent design or something else. But they want to like dress it up like it's actual science and then pretend it has nothing to do with religion, but it's just religion dressed up as science, basically.
Yeah. They've had all those court cases.
Yeah.
Dawah trial in particular, where it was intelligent design was shown to be pseudoscience. It was just religious dogma repackaged.
Yeah. So, do you think Dave's going to respond, or it's done, or do you think anything's going to happen now?
I think he's probably. Dave said he's done his final video, so it depends. I think he's probably. It all depends on what Subboor does. If Subboor comes up with anything outlandish, then I think Dave will be forced to respond.
So,
I think he's just. Because Dave just at the moment is each time he says something, it just smashes Subboor's credibility even more down. So if he does contribute more, I'd certainly be grateful for that.
Yeah. I really enjoy because. Yeah, I really enjoyed like someone putting him in his place because someone big as well.
Exactly.
Really like exposing him because a lot of these like these Muslim guys they just kind of go under the radar and they do their own thing, but they're spreading bad things and they're like miseducating the Muslim population. So it you need someone big to like shut him down and say you can't trust this guy.
Because people like you and me, we've known about Subboor being dishonest and dodgy for quite some time, but it's good that people like Skydive Phil and Dave Farina with their much bigger audiences have now just made a lot more people aware of that.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so right now probably no debate happening, right? Like that doesn't seem like it'll be. Yeah. I mean, it's a shame. I do want to see them like interact in person, and Dave would just do the same thing he did to James Tor. Call him out on everything, just make him look bad.
And I did suggest to Dave in one of the comments is it just comes down to Speaker's Corner and stuff, but he's so busy with family and his work that he just want to spend a few days just getting on the planes coming down here unless he's going to get paid for it.
Yeah, even at Speaker's Corner, there's like hecklers from both sides. You have Christians and Muslims that they're cheering. It's a very like informal environment. I think Dave wants something proper, something official. Like if he's traveling all the way to a different country, it's not just going to be in a park somewhere.
Exactly.
It's got to be in a proper location. It has to be.
You want to
set up.
You want to have slides. You want to show people things. You want diagram. You want to have like a Q&A with the audience. It's like you can't have that Speaker's Corner.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Speaker's.
Be fun to see them both at Speaker's Corner.
Yeah, it would be funny. It would just be like a kind of shouting contest. And, I imagine. Like not many people in Speaker's Corner would know about Dave because his following wouldn't really go there. So it would probably just be a bunch of Muslims just surrounding him, trying to intimidate him.
Yeah. They would certainly try that.
Yeah. So I hope the debate does happen at some point. I hope Subboor gets his act together and actually lets the university set it up.
Maybe if he's shamed enough, and once he realizes just how far down his reputation is, hopefully Subboor realize that no one takes him seriously, nobody thinks he's credible in any way, and so he's got nothing to lose by actually having an online debate with Dave. And if he does, if Subboor does agree to have an online debate with Dave Farina, he would go up in my estimation. I would think, we all thought you were a coward for not wanting to debate, and you are debating him online. I'd say, well done.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because his channel's called Darwinian Delusions, but he's the one that seems really delusional.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, especially with all this Dave stuff saying, "Oh, he's a coward. He doesn't want to face me. He's too scared." It's like, why would he be scared of someone who doesn't have any background in science whatsoever?
Exactly.
When he's debated actual scientists, like actual people who've done work in science, why would he be like, I don't know, Subboor thinks he's like this kind of final boss of debates, but yeah, he just overhypes himself too much.
He does.
And he's debated he hasn't actually debated like actual scientists. Like he's interviewed them and he's posed them questions, but he hasn't had like a proper debate with them.
He's not had a debate for years. Nothing like that. I mean, he's only had that debate with Aaron Ra in the US, where his entire argument was just this straw man of how you define the word fact. And I think since then I don't think you've seen him come up. He's done like some chats with people where he's just really chasing clout, where he doesn't really say anything too controversial. Just wants to be able to say he shared a stage with this person. That was it.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's all been on his own platform.
Yeah, and he always references people that don't agree with his views.
Yeah,
like he'll pick their belief and then use that and then say, "Oh, on everything else they're wrong because of this philosophical thing." So yeah, it's just really you can't actually find a proper academic scientist or philosopher who endorses his views.
No,
like it's just not.
He misquotes them all. When I spoke to him on the arena and other things, he brings out all these random quotes, relevant. He doesn't say things the truth. And when I do my analysis videos, it just everything he says is wrong. There's things in real time you can't check it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because he would just pull them out like he knows everything, and you could sit there and like look up the quote, but it's just a waste of time if you're having a discussion. So you just kind of go with it.
Yeah.
Then when you look back, it's you realize it's not the truth.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So he doesn't want any independent like on the spot fact checking.
Exactly. Yes. It's it's all the same. So I hope something does happen, whether it's online or in person.
So as well, yeah.
It'd be really good to see. But I think that's
to you again.
Yeah, you did.
So so I'll just should we wrap it up?
Yeah. Let's wrap it up here. Yeah.
So thanks. Good talking to you again.
Yeah. You too. Yeah.
Chat again sometime soon.
Yeah. Definitely.
All
yeah.
Right. Thanks for him.
See you.
Bye bye.